Mainstream liberals and never-Trump Republicans are still thinking about this in terms of a right-wing popularity contest. But that's not what this is. This is an authoritarian knife fight. I've been hearing a lot of mainstream liberals and never-Trump Republicans say things like this.
And I'm not convinced he runs. A lot of people are. I think a lot of this...
You're not convinced who runs?
Trump. I'm not
really?
Yeah, I'm not convinced he runs.
I'm sure that they have much more informed opinions than mine, but I don't think it's giving them a leg up here. Especially when the whole reason I've been doing what I'm doing is because of how many of them don't get it. Maybe I don't get it either, but at least I get that we can't think about Republican politics like this. And I mean that their politics aren't operating in a democracy anymore. And that's why I am 100% certain, as wrong as I might be, that Trump will run in 2024 and he will win the Republican nomination. Unless he's in jail. I really do appreciate never-Trumpers, but they are a gold mine of not getting it, and I want to dig in.
Really?
Two very important reasons to me, knowing the man as I do. One, he doesn't want to do the work. Two, he doesn't want to lose. That prospect of losing weighs a lot heavier for him.
Oh, I think that's huge. I would put that number one.
It's true that Trump is terrified of losing, because in his mind, losing is only done by losers, and losers are people who are irrelevant and ignored, which he thinks is the same as being unloved. For normal people, fearing failure to that degree does mean not trying. But for Trump, it means always cheating, and always accusing others of cheating whenever he loses. With the way that his brain works, fear is not a deterrent, it's a motivation. But Trump and his emotional pathologies are a sideshow. The thing that never-Trumpers and a lot of liberals really need to get is that the politics of Trump and MAGA Republicans are not about winning or losing elections.
I know the politics of Tallahassee and Ron DeSantis very well, so what I'm about to say is not made with platitudes. I believe Ron DeSantis has the hottest hand in politics in the entire country right now. There's only one person capable of running against Donald Trump in a Republican primary, and it's Ron DeSantis. He did the build the wall with the kids. He did all the right Trump stuff. He got Trump's endorsement. And then when he gets to Tallahassee, he left Donald Trump behind.
No. I'm sorry, but it's not about electability. And it's been less and less about it ever since the last time a Republican presidential candidate won the popular vote was 18 years ago. And that is the one time it has ever happened in my entire life. DeSantis is making the right moves to maximize his electability in a Republican primary. That's true. But that's not him playing a hot hand. That's him settling for what he has to work with. Because what he doesn't have in his hand is mythology. If Trump and DeSantis end up side by side on a primary debate stage, DeSantis will have the culture war cred. But Trump will be able to say that he is the rightful president of the United States returning from exile to destroy his enemies once and for all. And if DeSantis or anyone else disagrees with him, they will be booed off that stage. That alone might be enough to win him the nomination. But if it isn't, his other ace is the fact that he doesn't need or care about the Republican Party. As soon as he's done with that King in Exile speech, he will go straight to McConnell and McCarthy and Fox News and all the rest and tell them that if he doesn't win the nomination, he will run as a third-party candidate and tear the Republican Party in half with his bare hands. Mainstream liberals and never-Trump Republicans are still thinking about this in terms of a right-wing popularity contest. But that's not what this is. This is an authoritarian knife fight. Republican leadership and Fox News might try to play chicken with Trump, try to call out his bluff, but the fact of the matter is that they've all tried that before, and they've always come back to his side. Trump has nothing to lose, and they're going to support his win. Now, if you're on the left, you might be thinking, okay, good, Trump will win the nomination by being an unhinged narcissist, and then we'll beat him again because he's so unpopular. But no, not good. You're still thinking about this as if the Republicans are trying to win popular support, when what they're really trying to do is help themselves hold on to and gain more power with even less popular support than they already have. What's far more important to Trump's campaign than any polling data or election results is this Supreme Court case, Moore v. Harper. This case will go a long way toward deciding whether Republican-controlled state legislatures can do what they've been doing ever since 2021, which is to remove any check on their ability to decide how federal elections work, or even to decide who it is who wins those elections. They want to make sure that only Republicans ever win congressional or presidential elections in their state again, regardless of who has popular support. The fact that the Supreme Court is even hearing this case is a huge get for Trump's campaign. Not his campaign to win an election with more votes, that doesn't exist, but his campaign to end democracy with mythology. Unless he's charged with crimes and convicted and goes to jail. That alone will come nowhere close to ending this crisis of authoritarianism. The rest is gonna have to be done with voting. Go figure. But it is necessary for dispelling his mythology and making it clear that there's consequences for plotting a coup. No one knows what's gonna happen, and I'm happy to give the Justice Department as much time as it takes to make sure they get a conviction, unless democracy ends in the meantime. But they have to charge him. If Trump can be put in jail, and if Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema allow the Democrats to pass voting rights, 2024 actually will be about Republicans' electability and policy. And that brings us to the last thing that never Trump conservatives do not get.
If the GOP weren't comprised of so many just shameless, very weak toadies. Look, if there were a dozen Liz Cheneys, there were more of them. If they were sustained, this nightmare would be behind the Republican Party.
The nightmare would not be over, because they've been living in their nightmare ever since 2008. More like since the 90s, or really since the New Deal. Their nightmare is the fact that Americans don't like them. We like Social Security and single-payer healthcare and green energy. We don't like tax cuts for the wealthy, protections for giant monopolies, and civilization-ending climate change. And they can't convince us otherwise. Republicans absolutely do need to purge authoritarianism from their party. And there have been many, many opportunities that the cowardly Republicans have had to take a united stance against the crazy ones, including right now. But to lose the delusional mythology and paranoia and stand on their policy alone is to just lose. That's why they've never done it. Because reaching this point, so close to authoritarianism, was the only option for them if they wanted to win. The cowardly ones are the ones who told themselves that it wasn't, but still rationalize that it's worth it to get those tax cuts through. The crazy ones are the ones who knew it from the start. So, I love you, Never-Trumpers, and I really appreciate a principled conservative, but you just gotta get it.